boy, plus way back. I got a feeling it's a rap. ASAP.
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah. Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling.
The mountain top, walk on water. I got power, feel so royal. 1 second, I'ma strike oil. Diamond, platinum, no more for you. That adrenaline, never giving in. Giving up's not an option, gotta get it in. Witness, I got the heart of 20 men. No fear, go to sleep in the lion's den. That glow, that spark, that crown. You're looking at the king of the jungle now. Stronger than ever, can't hold me down. 100 miles gunning from the pitcher's mile. Straight game face, it's game day. See me running through the crowd full of melee. No trick plays, I'm Bill Gates. Take a genius to understand me.
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah. Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling.
Gotta love the life that we live in.
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah. Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah.
I got on the phone and called the girl, said on the phone and called the girl, said nothing, na na na. In my high heel shoes and fancy bags, and in my heel shoes and fancy bags, and nothing, na na na. When I pushed the door out, so ran and ignoring. I pushed the door out, so ran and ignoring. Nay, na na na. Sue came in the silk sarong. Sue came in the silk sarong. She goes, nay, na na na.
Lay where you're laying, don't make a sound. I know they're watching all the commotion. The kitty like hey, has people talking. Yeah, it's like this on fire. Down to the alley, the break of day. Hey, while I'm driving. Soft lips are open, the knuckles are pale. Feels like you're dying. Yeah, your sex is on fire. Concerned with the watch just transpire. Hot as a fever, rattling bones. I could just taste it. If it's not forever, if it's just tonight, oh, it's still the greatest. The greatest. Yeah, this sex is on fire. Yeah, this sex is on fire. Concerned with the watch just transpire. This sex is on fire. Concerned with the watch just transpire.
When your legs don't work like they used to before, and I can't sweep you off of your feet, will your mouth still remember the taste of my love? Will your eyes still smile from your cheeks? Darling, I will be loving you till we're 70. And baby, my heart could still fall as hard at 23. Well, me, I fall in love with you every single day. And I just wanna tell you I am. So honey, now take me into your loving arms. Kiss me under the light of 1,000 stars. Place your head on my beating heart. I'm thinking out loud, maybe we found love right where we are. When my hair's all but gone and my memory fades, and the crowds don't remember my name. When my hands don't play the strings the same way, I know you will still love me the same. 'Cause honey, your soul could never grow old, it's evergreen. And baby, your smile's forever in my mind and memory. I'm thinking about how people fall in love in mysterious ways. And maybe it's all part of a plan. Well, I'll just keep on making the same mistakes, hoping that you'll understand. But baby, now take me into your loving arms. Kiss me under the light of 1,000 stars. Place your head on my beating heart. I'm thinking out loud that maybe we found love right where we are. So baby, now take me into your loving arms. Kiss me under the light of 1,000 stars. Oh, darling, place your head on my beating heart. I'm thinking out loud that maybe we found love right where we are. Or maybe we found love right where we are. And we found love right where we are.
Hot and dangerous. If you're one of us, then roll with us. 'Cause we make the hipsters fall in love when we got our hot pants on and up. And yes, of course we does. We run in this town just like a club. And no, you don't wanna mess with us. Got Jesus on my necklace. Got that glitter on my eyes. Stockings ripped all up the side. Looking sick and sexified. So let's go, let's go. Tonight we're going hard, 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 hard. Just like the world is ours. We're tearing it apart, part. You know we're superstars. We are who we are. We're dancing like we're dumb. Our bodies going numb. We'll be forever young. You know we're superstars. We are who we are. DJ, turn it up. It's about damn time to live it up. I'm so sick of these so serious. It's making my brain delirious. turn it up, 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 up. DJ, turn it up, 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 up.
DJ, turn it up,
DJ, turn it up, 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 up. Tonight we're going hard, 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 hard. Just like the world is art, 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 art. We're tearing it apart, 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 apart. You know we're superstars. We are who we are. We're dancing like we're dumb, 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 dumb. Our bodies go numb, 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 numb. We'll be forever young, 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 young. You know we're superstars. We are who we are.
There we go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It seems like every time we break away and come back, the delegates seem to becoming smaller in numbers. But I'd please like to ask you to please just move forward so that everybody else who comes later on can fill up in the back, if you don't mind, please. I also do have a few announcements I need to make. We have our Wi-Fi is now on. This is only for our I have such a difficult preliminary. Am I correct? Yes. This area here, this venue for the official summit venue, and the passwords, as well as the name is, the Wi-Fi name is ICT Summit Delegates, and the password is telecom@ICT. ICT Summit Delegates, you should pick it up on your devices, and the password is capital letter, telecom. I beg your pardon? I believe this should be zone 1. Yes. If it doesn't function or doesn't work, please do let me know. Or then we just try zone 2. And the password is capital letters telecom at small letters ICT. The at symbol. All us techno people will know that one was. Telecom, just the T capital letter. Yeah. Capital letter T, telecom, and small letter at ICT. Is it your mic, this one? Okay. Okay, I see. Thank you. Okay, I took so much of your time this morning before the program commenced, so I will not do that for this afternoon. Unfortunately, our colleagues will have to catch up with us. I'd also like to announce to you, before I do commence, is our live stream. It's you can actually collect this. I believe also the presentations of our speakers with the keynote addresses will be updated as we continue throughout the day, so you'll be able to access the information that they provided as well as the information that they gave us. So it's www.namibiaictsummit, that's the website, I believe you're all familiar, .na. www.namibiaictsummit.na, and we are set to go. Let's continue to our next keynote speaker. His name is Lawrence Muthoga. He is of the Technical Solutions Professional for Dynamics Microsoft for Sub-Saharan Africa and the Indian Ocean Islands. He will be presenting the topic, Running a Dynamic Business in the Age of Digital Transformation. So, Mr. Muthoga, if you are ready, please a round of applause, ladies and gents.
Thank you. It has been statistically proven that the 3 hardest presentations in a day are the one at the beginning, the one at the end, and the one that ranks at the top is the one just after lunch. It is the hardest, and I have to bite the bullet here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk around. I'm going to be free with this presentation. It's not going to be, I'm going to add some levity. I have very poor jokes. Please laugh. Please do laugh. Make me feel good. But today, let's talk about transforming business in the digital age. And before I start, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Lawrence Muthoga, as mentioned. I work with Microsoft, and today I'm here under the humble invitation of Green Enterprises, who are one of our partners. And I am very proud and also very humbled, which is kind of a paradox, to be here today. Thank you. And this is my first time in Namibia, right? And I came into the city. I found out the airport is really far. You know, you drive for quite some distance. And when I got here, it was Sunday. The city was empty, and it was really, really beautiful. And then we come here today morning, and I heard your national anthem. And for those of you trying to place my accent, I'm actually from Kenya. And Kenyans are known for lots of things. Yeah? We win those marathon races. And as you can see, I am quite the runner, yeah? I can win a race, maybe come, second from last. I'm really good at these things, yeah. So today we are going to talk about technology. And let's be honest with ourselves. Technology has changed everything around us, from the way we work, to the way we live, to the way we think. Think about it. Right now, you have in your pocket a device that can change the world. You have access to information that most people would find mind-blowing. And what do we do with this device? We take selfies, because it's awesome to take selfies. We could change the world with this. And I want you to think about it really critically, because what makes technology a really powerful thing, and allow me to step off the stage, is not what it's built to do, it's the ripple effect. Think about it. Somebody starts mining oil in America, and all they're mining it for is kerosene. It was the actual purpose oil was mined in the first place. And from the effluent that's wasted, and this scientist guy thinks to himself, what can we do with this? And he realizes, whoa, it burns really well. So what if I clean it up a bit, stick it into a high-pressure chamber, and start firing it off? And guess what? He builds an internal combustion engine. Fast forward 5, 6, 7, 10 years, you have your first car. Fast forward 60, 70 years, you have cars everywhere. The horse is gone. Fast forward a few years, the internet comes in, phones come in. What do you have next? You have self-driving vehicles. What's coming next? I won't pretend I know. Because the beauty of technology is it's not what you predict that's coming. It's that entire ripple effect. And what we do at Microsoft is we try and look at what's that ripple effect? How does it affect you as a person? How does it affect your business? How does it make sure that you can be more productive? And some people might say this is the great industrial revolution. We live in a strange time. We live in the age just after the great exploration of our planet and the age just before the grand exploration of space. I hope we make it. I really want us to get there. However, some of us suffer from a disease I like to call FOMO, FOMO. It's called fear of missing out. I sit here and I think, if only they had built spaceships by now, I'd be somewhere off in Mars, hopping over to the next planet and so on and so forth. But the beautiful thing is we are not missing out. We are actually the pioneers of the next revolution. We are actually changing the way things work. We will change the next 100, 200, 300, 500 years. The technology we build today and the technology you use and you give us feedback on is what's going to drive humanity forward. So technology is not just about business and how we use it and what we use it for. Technology is about people. It's about making lives better. It's about changing the way we think, changing the way we work, to make sure that we can change the world. And so here we are at the fourth industrial revolution. And at Microsoft, we pride ourselves on a lot of things. We try to be ahead of the curve. We haven't always made it. Some of you might know some very good examples, but we do have some strong things out there. And to really become a digital business, we also try and also do the same, because we cannot, the blind cannot lead the blind, let's be very honest. And so we have to lead the way ourselves. And so what we've done is we've focused on 3 key areas about being a digital business. It's one, you have to create more personal computing. And I loved the example the gentleman from Lenovo gave today. He talked about, nearly tripped. He talked about mainframes seated in a room to invisible data centers. And I'm going to stop just a step before that. We have moved from mainframes sitting in a room to computers in our hands. Our smartphones, our devices, those are really powerful machines. But how do we use them? And that's where personal computing kicks in. Do we have the software to actually power up our work life, our personal lives, and use it? And this is very key for digital business. And there are a few questions any business that wants to go digital must ask itself. It's one, how is that business being digitally transformed? How are they changing internally? What changes are happening outside that affect what's within the organization? And second is, how is the business model itself being changed? Because let's be honest, when it comes to business, it's not just about the technology. You can't just throw a bunch of computers at a problem and expect it to fix itself. No. It also changes the way you make money. It also changes the way, as a government, you work with your citizens. It changes every single thing. And so we found that the 4 key areas that any business wishing or willing or able to go digital must look at. The first is you must be able to engage your customers. You must be able to transform your products. You must be able to optimize your operations. And most key for me is you must also be able to empower your employees. And this ties in really closely with the vision and the mission of Microsoft as a company. And this has changed over the years from something as specific, for those of you who remember, as a PC on every desk in every home, or something like that. I honestly don't remember. I wasn't there at that point in time. To empowering every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. You'll notice it's moved from something very specific. However, that was the mission at the time because it was necessary. We were moving from a mainframe era, and I believe someone, I don't know who, was once quoted saying, "I do not see why a country would ever need more than 3 computers." Now, everybody has one. Everybody has, some people even have 2. I mean, if you have a laptop and a phone, technically you're running around with 2 computers. You're pretty tech savvy. You should be proud of yourself, right? And the Microsoft mission also understands that in order to enable people to achieve more, we can't work alone. We cannot exist in our own silo, in isolation, thinking, let's change the world, let's sit in front of our computers, and I'm a developer, and I'm going to make fun of developers. I'm sorry, developers in the house. But let me sit here and write this code, and we'll see what we can do. No. We have to go out there. We have to understand people. We have to know how they work. We need people on the ground who are willing to work with us on our software, and people who are willing to use the software. And this is where our partner ecosystem comes in. And that's why I said today I am proud and still humbled to be here with Green Technologies, because Green are one of our partners. They will come, sit with you, understand your problem, because we need to contextualize, not out of the nearly 150 plus countries out there on the globe. Every country is different. Every person uses technology differently. Every person approaches a problem differently. Every business, every government is inherently different. And this is where our partner ecosystem kicks in. However, it's also very, very critical to mention that Microsoft itself has changed internally, and I'm really proud of that. And if you remember the old Microsoft, it was, you want to use a Microsoft product, it has to be on Microsoft product. You have to be running Windows, you have to be using this, using that. No, it's changed. It's now the democratization of technology. We have moved from locking people on one platform to saying, hey, guess what? You want to use your Android phone, you want to use your MacBook, you want to use your iOS, maybe you even want to use a Windows phone. We're proud of you, Windows Phone users. We love you very, very much. I say that from the bottom of my heart. Guess what? We will not leave you behind, because we have moved from an era of you must use our services to an era of, hey, these are the services we can offer. Plug in from wherever you want. And that actually changes the way we think as a company and as people. And let's see how this plugs in into your business. And so let's start with the first thing, engaging your customers. And when I say customers, let's widen it a bit for the audience in the room. Usually, when we're doing a business presentation to business people, we'll talk about customers, but today I want us to also think about citizens, because the experience is the same. If you're a government and you're in the business of governance, the citizens become your customers. And it's your job to provide those services. However, in order to properly engage your customers, you must provide personalized experiences across all channels. Let's be honest, even within a country itself, people are different. They'll use services differently. And I loved the presentations we had here this morning, because they show there's a difference between what happens in the city and what happens in the rural areas. There's a difference in that technology. Are you able to use that? And I'm going to poach a bit from some of the presentations before me. And I believe you are all considered certified gentlemen. So I will not use the word poach. I will use humble referral. So I'm going to humbly refer to the presentations that came before me. And in order to properly engage your customers, let's be honest, the first thing you need is data about them. How many of us here truly know our customers? If you're a government, how well do you know your people? Can you truly say that I have looked at the statistics and I can see this is what we need in this sector? Can you look at statistics in your business and say, our customers love product A more than product B, we should invest more time and more money here? Can you look at a county government? Can you look at a district? Can you look at the entire government and say, this is where people are looking at? Right now I can see there's a huge drive towards technology. Can you actually come out with the figures and say, 5 years from now, someone will actually stand here on, I believe, the 8th conference and say, these are the figures we have. 5 years ago we were here, today we are here. And do you have the data to prove it? And that is the power of actionable insight. Because I believe tomorrow, there's going to be a segment on big data, and I don't want to jump into it or anything, but I want to just give you an idea of how much data you are producing as a human being today. You're on Facebook, you're on WhatsApp, you're on the internet. You buy credit, you buy from supermarkets. You're buying food, you're buying tiles, you're buying clothing. All that is data, because as long as it gets into a computer somewhere, somebody is recording it. Can you collate all this data? Can you actually say this is where we're seeing drive? And I'll dive into a few examples as we move on. Are you also able to use something as simple as social media? Think about it. 10 years ago, if you had told somebody, this is my idea. I want to build a platform where I can input 140 characters, and that's it. Guys would have looked at you like, seriously, are you serious? And now look at it. We're in the age of Twitter. Everybody's out there tweeting 140 characters, and I'm proud of it. Brevity is the new thing. You can easily post your thoughts very quickly. You have Facebook. Someone told you, you'll be willing to connect with your friends, send them photos, share that, show your videos and things like that. Someone would have gone like, yeah, that may work, but I don't see it picking up. But wow, it's become the thing. And how does that affect our businesses? How does that affect the government? In fact, for government, I don't think I need to even look further than the Arab Spring, which if you think about it, social media, as much as it was not the driver of it, was one of the key elements that fit in, because it democratized communication. It democratized how people communicate. People can share and talk. And now people can also share and talk about the business. They can share and talk about products. Are you able, do you have the right tools to go in and view all that data? Can you actually pull that data down and say, people are happy about this? Do you have a project you're running? And I really like the fact that we were encouraged to hashtag and tweet the Namibia Summit. Can we actually go in and say, people are happy, people are not happy? People are satisfied with what we're doing, people are not satisfied. And that's the essence of actionable insight. Because data by itself, out there making things happen, auditors, your friends, are you able to give them the right tools? And let's think about it very critically. We all have smartphones, I believe, right? And how many of us use our smartphones for email? I think it's everyone, right? We all, in fact, I'm pretty sure 90% of us here responded to an email before they even went for lunch. I'm guilty. I responded to about 3 or 4. I was very busy there in the back. However, let's think about it. How secure are these emails on our phones? Are you able to protect the same devices that you use? And I like the fact that security, once again, I'm referring to one of the earlier presentations, security is a very big issue. Do you have the right tools within your organization to actually protect those emails, those devices that people are using? Do you have the right method? Are you using the right tools to create a productive workplace? And a productive workplace can mean anything. By the way, I'll be very honest. It's very different from organization to organization. If you're dealing with an organization that is seated in an office, high internet, high workload organization, productivity means something completely different to them than people who are on the ground, running, fixing things. Think of somebody who maintains, or in fact, the power distributor, key power distributor in the area. They have people on the ground running, trying to make sure the electricity doesn't go out. If anything happens, somebody has to go and fix it. Do you have tools that can manage all that? That somebody who's on the ground working doesn't feel left out of the process, doesn't feel as if, hey, I need to go back to the office to do this. And with some of the tools we have in Office 365, it's very possible to do that. And you'll see I have thrown in insights once again. Are you able to monitor the productivity of your people? Can you see that perhaps we're not focusing in the right area here? Are you able to look at the amount of work being done versus the cost and say something like, yeah, we need to bring in more people to this department. They need to work better here. Number 3 for me is, of course, optimizing your operations. And this is a huge and key area for many businesses and governments. In fact, I'd say it's possibly the biggest area of them all. Are you able to drive intelligent processes? And now some of you might ask, what's an intelligent process? And again, it really does differ. But I'd measure it in responsiveness. You have just gathered data from your clients that, or even your citizens, that, ooh, there's a burst. In fact, I'll use a citizen example right now. There's a burst water pipe at some place over here in the city. How fast can that information get to you? And how fast can you respond to that information? Think about it. Can you actually put a clock on it and say, this will be sorted out in the next 1 hour, 2 hours, 15 minutes? Can you actually time that? That I would consider to be an intelligent process. Why? Because you're receiving input, you're reacting to that input, and you're moving forward. You can also be proactive. You can ask people to report and provide the right tools to do that. And this is a space where it's very different for very many people. You might also find, for example, you're dealing with things like finance, metering, using applications to do something. There is so much that you can fit into optimizing your operations. But the one I like the most is anticipating the future with intelligent processes. Think about it. And I'll go back to my data example. You've been gathering all this data over time. You know that this parking area in this area doesn't get a lot of traffic. What can you do with that lot? Do you change it? Do you build something new? Let's say you've looked at water supply and seen, and I'll use an example of California because some of you might know, due to global warming and the things we've done to this planet, there's a huge drought in California. Water is a massive issue. How do they monitor and know this water is being used effectively here? Because people still have to grow crops. People still have to plant food. Are you able to monitor the amount of water going from one point to another, such that you don't have to wait for someone to tell you, hey, guess what, there's a leak. But your system already tells you, we are pumping X amount here, but only why amount is getting to this point. There must be something happening here. Is somebody siphoning? Is there a leak? Do we need to go and look at it and fix it? And that ties into the Internet of Things, which is a topic that I believe will be tackled later on. But it's quite an amazing ecosystem that you can build around technology. And the solutions are so wide and so broad that it's very easy to actually come in and plug into that. And I'll give you a few scenarios as we move on. And of course, the last bit is being able to transform your products. And your products may be actual products that you have in front of you. Your products might be your services. Think about it. What is the most critical thing that you can give to an end user? Better service, right? Faster service, better product, make them feel better, happier about what they have. If you're manufacturing a product, you want it to be the best product out there. Hashtag Galaxy Note 7, exploding, yes. How quickly can you react to that, right? Sorry, my Samsung people. I have actually an S7 in my pocket, so I'm a fan. Thank you. Think about government services. Are you able to transform the way people actually work within the work cycle? Can people, if, for example, let's take something that happens at least once every day. Somebody is born, right? How easy is it to go through the process of getting a birth certificate? Can you track a person going through school? Can you track a person once they finish university? Can you track employment and unemployment rates once people leave these institutions? And how do you do that, right? That might be the question that's going through your head right now. How do I do that? But look, think about it. It's all different systems playing together. You have a name, you have an ID card number, you have a number that's attached to you since you're a child. It's very easy, if you keep track of this data, to see your path. And imagine doing this for a whole nation, whereby you know that these are the people who've graduated that need jobs. These are the industries that are coming up that we can plug these people into. And so you change the entire dynamic of how you work as a government and completely change the way you look at things. And very key to that, again, is data and the platforms. And again, this integrates across the board. It's a very interesting area. Another very key thing is disruption. Think about it. Someone said this: you are either a disruptor or you're getting disrupted. One of those two things is happening right now as we speak. You are either making change or you're going to be facing change in some time. Think about the greatest disruptions we've had in technology. Let's take an example I like is Uber. Somebody asked himself a simple question. What if I could just get a taxi driver to come pick me up at my place, at my house? Will this work for me? Yes, let me build an app to do that. And he did. Think about an app we use all the time, WhatsApp, Viber. Somebody asks himself a very simple question. I want to send text messages and not pay a cent. I just want to use my internet. Guess what? I'll build an app to do that, and completely changes everything. And if you ask any developer, let's be very honest, WhatsApp isn't a very complex app technologically. They may work on the encryption and all that, but at the end of the day, it's just simply picking a text, moving it through a server, and landing it on someone else's device. Pretty simple. But the ability to do it at the right time, to disrupt, to completely change the way things work, that is what matters. So you need to be able to envision a service. Ask yourself, how can we make this better? How can we change this? What is the existing infrastructure that we have that we can use? Or is there something new we need to build and then change? And I love this image because it asks you something. It tells you to imagine. And I want you right now to imagine if I wanted to get to a specific website that has specific data I want, but I don't know how to look or how to search for it. What do I use? Anybody? I can see guys mouthing Google. Yeah. Bing. Search engines are there, right? Imagine if I wanted to optimize what am I thinking about? Oh yes, I love the Kodak example, and I'm going to use that example. Imagine if I wanted to use an electronic device to save my data. And I love the Kodak example because it is a perfect show of what happens if you don't change. And I really love the fact that, in fact, fun fact, Kodak held the patent for digital cameras. It was theirs. By the way, somebody came in, one of their researchers, and was like, hey, look, there's this thing we can do where we take the image, throw it in a digital format. The board of directors turned to him and said, I'm sorry, we may have this confused, but we're a film and print company. We don't do this. 10 years down the line, Kodak is no more. Actually, it took 13 years for the company to completely sell off half their patents, and slowly by slowly, they disappeared from the market. And so it's all about disruption. And today, I want to challenge you. I want you to envision a process that bugs you personally. I want you to imagine if it was better. I don't know what bugs you. For me in Nairobi, it's parking. Parking in Nairobi is just hell. It is hectic. I wake up in the morning, I drive my car, I get to, and it's full. Why? Why is it full? Why wasn't I told this place was full? Now I have to drive around half the city looking for another parking lot, and then park my car and then walk to work. And I have a meeting, and I'll be late. Oh, crap. It happens. I'm being told to try Siri, to ask her for parking. I should. I'll try that. Now, right there is a solution. And I like that. So now, I want to imagine if I could get better parking. What will I do with that? Now, I want you to think of a process that touches you personally. Imagine if you could change it. So if you can envision what you want from that process. And I like the Siri example because all I want to do is take out my phone and be like, hey, Siri, or, and since I'm very loyal to Microsoft, hey, Cortana, where can I get parking? And then Cortana turns around and tells me, off Kenyatta Avenue on this and this address. And I'll go like, yes. And I simply drive there. Pretty fast, pretty easy. Now think about core processes, either within your business or within the government itself that you want to change. You have to first envision the end product. Let's say you want people to, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a process here. Anybody have an idea? Nobody? You guys are very happy with what you have. Yes. Yes, no. I see some people saying yes, I see some people saying no. But I'm pretty sure there's a process you have in mind. Maybe it's how easy it is to pay land rates. Maybe it is, and I love this one, do people have access to money in the rural areas? Think about it. And you have to be able to take these ideas and simply figure them out. Use the existing technology. One good example I'll draw directly from Kenya is M-Pesa. How many of us have heard of M-Pesa? Yeah, nice. Some of us have heard of it. That's pretty awesome. And the essence of M-Pesa is this. A lot of people in the rural areas don't have access to banks. And Kenya is not exactly a card economy. Cards aren't very common outside the cities. People don't use cards. However, someone comes up with an idea and says, hey, wait, everybody has a phone. Not a smartphone, but a phone. It might be a smartphone. It might be a feature phone, or it might be one of those in between. I like to call them clever phones. You know, it's not there yet, and it's not down here. It's just clever. It knows what to do. You can browse on it and stuff. But I want to be able to send and receive money on this phone. And so what do? You use the existing architecture, the existing infrastructure. SMSs. Everybody can send an SMS. Why don't we use that? So you build an entire ecosystem around that. And right now, I'll tell you this, 90% of Kenyans use M-Pesa. It's fast, it's convenient, it reaches everybody, and it uses SMSs. No internet, only an SMS. And in fact, right now, it's tied to SIM cards, so pretty easy for you to use it. So what I'm asking you today, what my challenge is for you today, is pick a process, envision it. Look at what you need. And if you're not sure, we are here to help. Microsoft and Green are here to help. And we will take you through that process from beginning to end. And in fact, before I close, I have a video of some guys who met a challenge. And they asked themselves, what can we do about this? How can we change the world around us? And I'll show you the answer. Oh, I'm going to skip this because I've already mentioned it.
For as long as I can remember, I've had a desire to do something that changes someone's life. was my community, my home. And when I looked around, I saw beauty, possibility. But I also saw a problem. This is still what midwives use to listen to a fetal heartbeat. It's outdated and the results can be inconsistent. So I asked myself, what can I do? We created the Winsinger app with Microsoft technology to more accurately monitor and track the health of both the baby and the mother. And because so many of us live in rural areas, we needed to create something that could travel everywhere. Most mothers don't get the opportunity to listen to their baby's heartbeat. That is priceless. Our hope is to make prenatal care easy and affordable, so we can identify problems before it's too late. This means we're ultimately saving more lives. That means a brighter future for all of us.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be at the Green stand with my very nice colleagues from Green, and I'll be waiting to hear what you have imagined. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muthoga. But before you go, perhaps there are some questions from the delegates, if they do have any questions. But after watching your presentation, I must say thank you very much for something upbeat after lunch. I feel much more inspired right now. Any questions from the delegates? Let's start right here with Mr. Besaidnout.
Thank you very much. I just have a question, maybe advice from your side.
Yes.
You mentioned M-Pesa.
Yes.
You mentioned Kodak. Kodak example.
Yes.
Yeah. We in Africa sometimes have very innovative ideas.
True.
But those ideas, once you start rolling them out, get grabbed by other companies from other continents. They develop the thing, they sell it back to Africa. Because when I go to my boss, he doesn't trust my information, my knowledge. And we slip off the radar. How do we curb that thing? That we can trust our employees, our citizens to come up with real positive solutions for the nation and not wait for foreigners to come and sell it to us. Thank you.
Okay, that's actually a really lovely question. And as a developer and someone who actually built apps and things like that, that's always been one of the key questions that we ask ourselves. And what I've found, and this is more from experience, is it all comes down to an enabling environment. You have to have, I don't say the things must all line up correctly, but you must have an environment that, one, creates interest in building the applications themselves, because most of the times, and I'll draw from Kenya as an example, we have lots of young university students with lots of ideas, but when they build, it just falls away. And so we've had efforts both within the universities and also outside the universities for companies like growth hubs, which take these ideas and incubate them, providing them access to lawyers for patents, providing them access to investors for money, providing them access to marketing funds, such that when the application is up and running, they can actually go out there and sell it and actually make money for themselves. There are also programs within various multinational companies, and I can speak for Microsoft. I can't speak for the rest, but I do know they are there. For Microsoft, we have what we call the For Africa program, which is actually a program built around encouraging growth and innovation within Africa. So there are, I'd say at the end of the day, it does come to that environment, enabling students, enabling people with ideas, enabling developers, freelancers to actually, one, easy access to the legal way of doing it, and two, easy access to actually being able to launch. I hope that answers your question.
Any more questions? That side of the room? Everything is answered. You are sure? This is your chance.
Usually in Kenya, we say when people don't ask questions, they either got everything
I see.
or they got nothing. I hope you're all on the everything side.
Maybe we're still waiting for lunch to sucker and get lost, but we'll get there eventually.
Oh, we do have a question.
We do have a question. Here we go.
My question was just very short on information technology.
Yes.
And you mentioned something interesting about the Arab Spring.
Yes.
I want also the government, citizens must be happy.
Very true.
And there's sometimes citizens cannot be happy if their freedom is being disturbed.
True.
If laws are being made to make us, to oppress us. So that's why when we come to our freedom
Yes.
to associate, our freedom to organize ourselves when there is not good things happening. So even, I want to just to say, we must also consider if government do things good and people are happy, the future of people are happy, but if people are not happy, then people will have to use means of making a change.
Very true.
Through something like a revolution. So that's what I'm saying. We need also to consider the citizens. When we talk about Arab Spring or anything where it happens, so I just want us also to understand how we as citizens feel. Thank you.
That's actually a very nice comment, and I'll just add to it. It all comes down to, one, a willing government. And from what I see here, you have a willing government. A government that's willing to take feedback and is willing to change based on that feedback. Because the tools are there. And as the minister mentioned in the morning, it's all about, there's the good and the bad. It all comes down to those two sides. Social media is a really powerful tool. And if used wisely, people on the receiving end can look at feedback and say, this is good, this is progress. Or they can say, we have a problem here. Let's see how we can solve this. Another way that it can be looked at is by having proactive government. And today I had the pleasure of seeing an application that actually allows you to post things like, there's a problem here, there's water leakage at some point in the city, and things like that, whereby you can give feedback as a citizen to the government itself, and also the government being open with what it's doing. We've seen this work really well in some governments. We've seen this also work really well with some organizations, whereby there's that open feedback, there's that continuous discussion. However, at the end of the day, like you've said, it all comes down to the people and the infrastructure and the tools that they use. So yes, I do agree.
Thank you very much. Any more questions from the floor?
You have a question?
Up there.
Thank you very much. I also personally enjoy your presentations, quite insightful. My name is Franz. I'm just thinking now in the world of app and software.
Yes.
So maybe if you can take it from an angle, just a bit from an angle of business-oriented and sort of service-oriented. I see company like Microsoft, obviously it's also in the business.
Yes.
But when you think in terms of government, they have a responsibility to citizen, and they are quite countless problem. And one can really see possibility in terms of software development or apps development in terms of really helping and serving the nation. Okay. So what will be perhaps the possibility really in terms of investing to make this a realization, not really from the financial point of view, because you want to make money, you want, this is how you can make money, but if you have that other dimension of really providing service, that expansion. So I don't know whether I'm clear, but I'm throwing ideas.
I think I understand your question, and actually it's a really good question, and I think, and do correct me if I've misunderstood you, but the good thing is, yes, Microsoft is taking those steps, but not at a national, or rather at a national level, but more at a global level, in the sense that for software developers and for people who build apps, we did notice in like the last 4 or 5 years that there were issues in the community and the freedoms that we had as developers within the Microsoft ecosystem. And so that was opened up. For example, right now you have software that used to run purely on Windows Server. For example, SQL Server is now running on Linux, allowing Linux developers to actually build and write code there. As Microsoft, we're also hiring open source developers, people who can write code on Ubuntu, people who can write code on OpenSUSE. In fact, we bought OpenSUSE, and it's now part of Microsoft, so that we could expand the range of products that we can offer. And also on the flip side is within the products we release themselves, we are allowing other platforms. We are no longer platform bound, we are now platform agnostic. Anybody can build an application on any platform and still be able to use the services. So we may not be able to operate at a national level, but from a general perspective of allowing developers to come in from any sector, any language, any area, any place in the world, and be able to build an application that consumes those services, that we are doing. I do hope I've answered your
thank
question.
you. Maybe the follow-up one. That question is really inspired by the thinking. I see there's quite a lot of knowledge being generated in tertiary institutions.
Yes.
But obviously, institutions like Google, Microsoft, to some extent, they own the monopoly of the software development. I would put that as it is. My observation, they own that. There's a level of monopoly within these giant tech institutions. Or now, college, university, and student, they have all sort of ideas that they need to package, and perhaps really that possibility, if there's that cooperation, one would see some of these ideas would really be possibility that can enhance people's life. I thank you.
Yes. Actually, yes, I do agree. And like I mentioned, it's coming down to the various programs we run on various continents. So I know for Africa, we're running the For Africa program. That's Africa with a K. It's for the number Africa with a K. You can actually check them out online. Please do. I'd suggest it. As for us being more of a monopoly on the developer environment, and also the other companies, the Oracles of this world, the Googles of this world, I do agree. Yes, we do. We are the platform developers. We build the platform. It's not exactly a monopoly, but the good thing is, and as I had mentioned in the earlier answer, is we are trying to democratize that. We are trying to make sure it's open to everyone and anyone. The documentation is being put out, that people can learn from any platform and still be able to hop onto the Microsoft platform and still build. Because the one thing we realized, and I'm pretty sure you may have seen Steve Ballmer's video where he goes, developers, developers, developers. It's very true. None of these companies can survive without developers. We need them. And so the only way we encourage developers is by opening our arms and saying, bring whatever you have, come with whatever you've learned, and let's build together. Yes.
Oh, okay. I was just going to give somebody else a chance if there are any more questions. All right, Mr. Besaidovich, you can go ahead.
I have a follow-up question to this whole thing. You see, Microsoft is in the business of something. Now, my question is, do you allow government to be separate, or do you pull in government by making offerings and free gifts and product sales and so on? You lock government into a very specific platform. And then later you go like Ericsson, you go bust. You go like BlackBerry, you go bust. You're not existing anymore. Then government is in a problem. How do you prevent that in future?
I love that question because it has to do with product longevity and actually change management in a way. So if I was to talk about how the product lifecycle generally at Microsoft is that you'll find the core products. I don't use like for example, enterprise resource planning systems, ERP systems that deal with financials, the core operations of a business. Those products have long lives. There are also huge investments from Microsoft as a company into those products. And so we can't pick a product and say, oh, this product is dead. Let me just kick it to the side. No. There's a huge, in fact, before a product is completely written off, there's a long time period. For example, take Windows XP, which is now end of life. Windows XP, we no longer sell Windows XP. It took us nearly 10 to 15 years of constantly reminding businesses, reminding governments, reminding people, we are no longer going to be selling this product, kindly upgrade. Here is the other option. Or if you look at other products, for example, like, and I like the ERP products, there's an entire transition path. You're not left behind with a product that is unusable. There's always an option that's given. And while I do admit we do have what I call a software graveyard, every company has a software graveyard where all the software goes after it's usable. We do have, and now this is where our partners come in. When you get into an agreement with Microsoft, either through Microsoft itself directly or through a partner, we walk with you every step of the way. And I like that Liverpool motto that says, you'll never walk alone, right? You'll always be with us. So we walk with you and we hold your hand. Will Microsoft go bankrupt? I can't answer that. I do not know. However, I can say, looking at how things have been going, I can very confidently say Microsoft will be around for quite some time. Who knows? Maybe we might even lead the way into the space age. I don't know. Yeah. Yes.
I'm chairing a Pan-African conference on human-computer interaction that will take place in Nairobi, Kenya in November. You know, it's Pan-African, first of its kind in Africa, by Africans. When we went to Microsoft for Africa to assist us, to sponsor us, to come on board, they said no. But, and here's the thing, Microsoft Research, India said yes, came on board. Google came on board, et cetera, Internet Society. So it's something to think about. When we as Africans want to do something, we need you to walk with us all the way and not leave us stranded.
Very true. I agree. I agree 150%. I cannot talk as to how the company works internally and their decision-making process. I am external to For Africa, so I honestly do not know their reasons for saying no. If I knew there was such an event, I'm actually thinking I should attend and just be there and see how it goes and actually. But you'll see that, I'll put it this way. The business has its own way of running, and it's invisible to some of us, and it's visible to others. So for the For Africa program, I think it would be best to take that to them and ask them, why did you say no? And this is, yeah. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Muthoga, it seems like all the questions we couldn't ask Bill Gates, you've answered for us. Are there any more questions from the floor? Is that a wrap? Thank you very much for your energizing presentation. Thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's proceed with our program. Very soon we'll have a chance to once again stretch our legs into the breakaway sessions, but we still have a few keynote addresses that we need to listen to. I will be introducing to you now Dr. Aino Natangwe Mvula, the CEO of NCRST for Namibia, who will be discussing or presenting to you the topic, Investing in Youth ICT Innovators. I'm very excited about this one. Please, a round of applause.
Yes, thank you, Director of Proceeding, Honorable Minister, Honorable Members of Parliament, colleagues, good afternoon. I always look forward to the ICT Summit. This is our second time that the NCRC is participating, and we see this as an opportunity where we bring together various stakeholders, the public sector, the private sector, and academia, to exchange ideas really in terms of what needs to be done in ICT in Namibia. From our side, we look at this also as a learning, because we have one of our responsibilities to support ICT or to support innovation in different aspects in terms of finding solutions that to challenges that we face in our country. So as the discussions are going, we're really learning a lot, and hopefully that will help us also in devising better instruments in terms of supporting innovation in our country. The topic of my discussion is investing in youth ICT innovation. And I will be, where's the, I thought where's the thing? Forwarding. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Good. All right, just to contextualize, I will just give you an overview of the innovation landscape in Namibia. Look at some of the partnerships that we've been trying to forge in support of innovation and some of the work that we've done. But before I do that, I'd want to share with you a video.
It has long been established that free market...
Let me just pause. Of some of the people that, or innovators that the NCRC has been supporting. I'm sure some of the faces you've seen around in this room as well. So it's quite short, it's about 2 minutes, so please just listen to that.
It has long been established that free markets and economies flourish on a free exchange of information. Moreover, information has become a critical enabler, allowing government to fast-track development and deliver solutions to its citizens. My innovative design is an open data portal which will act as a central repository for public data. My name is Amogongo Mbangula Lamek and I'm an innovator.
I wanted to come up with a way to digitalize our traditional games so that we could keep our traditional values. My innovative design is a Owela game, which is based on the traditional Owela game played in different communities. My name is Aaron Amkwaya and I'm an innovator.
I wanted to establish a digital platform for Namibian citizens to engage the local government. My innovation design is Save My City. The application allows for direct citizen government collaboration or direct citizen authority collaboration to solve social problems. My name is Nabod Nathaniel and I'm an innovator.
We wanted to prove that Namibians that are educated by our education system can develop IT systems for day-to-day use that are up to international recognized standards. My innovative design is called Ticket Booth Namibia. Ticket Booth Namibia is a web-based system where all event organizers can market but primarily sell their tickets from our application to end users. My name is Gabriel Ikena and I'm an innovator.
There's a lot of businesses that are upcoming, yet these businesses are struggling to survive. Their products are not reaching the right target markets or consumers. My innovative design is Pula24, which is a mobile application that we are building for smartphones and tablets. Namibia, ignite the possibilities, be the innovator.
Well, I think that's, to some extent, a response to the question that Honorable Bezedenot had in terms of what support mechanisms we have in Namibia for our innovators or people who have ideas. So the NCRC is really geared toward answering and creating that enabling environment to support our innovators, especially the young people. We are in existence for about 3 years now. Although the act that establishes the NCRC is an act of 2004, which was preceded by the policy of 1999. Our operation really started in 2013. And the first thing that we did was to first of all formulate what we refer to as the National Research and Innovation Agenda, so that we have some kind of direction as to where we want to take this country, and also to operationalize the the National Research, Science and Technology Fund, which is established by our Enabling Act. So all that started happening in 2013. All right, so we looked at our mandate in terms of the Act, and from that we crafted our vision as an organization, and making sure that it's aligned to the long-term vision of the country, that is Vision 2030, and also, of course, the other instruments such as the NDP4 then, and now the Harambee Prosperity Plan. And we visualize a future where we are a leading agency that facilitates the development of research, science, technology, and innovation in our country. And with that, that's basically how we picture ourselves, that we are in the center, pulling all stakeholders together in the same direction to make sure that we contribute to producing innovative products, to improve our competitiveness and the creation of new ventures in our country. Now, with that, there might have been something that we're doing correctly, and I just want to share with you Namibia's performance on the Global Innovation Index. In 2015, Namibia was ranked at 107 out of 142 countries in the world. And surprisingly, this year, we have improved. We are now at 93. So in the same region with other countries like Botswana around 90, Malawi at 98, Kenya around 80. But of course, still far away if you compare ourselves to countries like Mauritius and also South Africa. So it means that maybe there's something that we have started now doing correctly. And I think the hope is that the trend continues, that our innovation performance improves going forward. Yeah, the data that I just shared with you, of course, is also a representation of what we invest in research and innovation. In terms of our investment, we were also not doing so well, and that is measured as a percentage of our GDP. And you can see Namibia is there, way below most of its neighbors. Botswana is at 0.25% of its GDP, Mozambique is 0.42, and we were only then at 0.18%. So again, as I said, in terms of our performance, the output is reflected by the input that we have not been investing sufficiently in supporting innovation. And it's good to see that we have the private sector represented here, and the picture actually looks like this. This data comes from our survey that we conducted for 2013-14, which shows that, and that is the pie chart that you see there. It shows that basically that the biggest investor in innovation and R&D in Namibia is government, which is what is in the green there, 0.16% of GDP. And then the higher education sector, most of which in any way comes from the government sources. So it basically means that the private sector need to play its part as well and not leave it only to government to support the innovation, or not only wait to bring solutions that are developed elsewhere. All right, having seen that picture, so the NCRC then thought, that picture will remain like that unless we start engaging the various actors in the innovation landscape and sensitizing them so that they can play their part in contributing to investment in innovation in general, not only ICT, but innovation in general. And it's for this reason that the NCRC has been engaging various partners. We started already when we just were established, engaging some of the parastatals, such as the statistic agency, and the partnership has grown tremendously. And I would like to see that hopefully next time when I present this, I'll have more partners, including Huawei, who just signed the agreement today with the Honorable, with the Ministry of ICT. So we actually would like to see more partners on board to support R&D and innovation in Namibia. All right, so what is it that the NCRC support and how do we support that? We have two specific instruments that we currently administering. One is the funding, which is associated with mentoring as well. And another one is a platform where we bring various actors together and finding solutions to challenges. I'm just going to share with you in a moment. Okay, with the funding, we administer the National Research Fund, which is established in terms of Section 23 of the Enabling Act that establishes the Commission. And this is how it works. But if you want to find out more, there is another session which is organized tomorrow. I think it's around 12 o'clock, where my colleagues are going to go into the details as to how the funding works, how the process of evaluation works, and how the decisions in terms of funding or not funding are made. But I'll just give you in a nutshell what we do here. So the one thing that we do not accept is individuals to just walk into the office and start requesting for funding, because it makes it very difficult in terms of who to fund and who not to fund. So we then have a process of, at planned intervals, we issue a call, or we invite members or interested parties, private or public, to submit proposals to the Commission for funding through a specific call which closed at a specific time. We then subject those proposals that are received through an evaluation process, which is done internally, and also we also use peer reviewers or experts within the field that the person is either doing a research or is doing some work in terms of innovation. And it's only after that we then make a decision in terms of granting and awarding. And once that decision is made, then we work through with you, making sure that you bring your project to completion. And that there are other interventions that we administer that could be in the form of mentoring, helping you to improve your ideas that you have, taking that idea and taking it further, or developing a business plan, making sure that your idea eventually become a marketable idea or something that can be receive funding, for example, from the bank. And then until the time that we close off that project. So since we have started running this in the area of ICT, we have had 4 specific calls or invitation for proposals. The first 2 were done in the last financial year, the one that closed in August 2015, and another one that closed on 15 March 2016. I'm going to talk more about those 2 because we've got evaluations and we've got some preliminary performance in terms of the work that has been done to date. We've got 2 other ones, the one that closed on the 15th of July. We are still in the process of evaluating the proposals that were received. And then we have the one that is going to close on the 15th of November, and it's opening on the 15th, from the 15th of October. It will be open. We are inviting people to submit their proposal, in terms of thinking out of the box, finding solutions to challenges that we face in our country. And as I've said, you can get some more information from my colleagues who are going to give the presentation tomorrow. And you can also get some more information at our stand on that particular innovation challenge. All right, so let's look at the call for Youth Innovator that closed last year, August. So these are the innovators that you just saw in the video. We received about 30 applications during that period when we invited, called for proposals. And 11 of them were found to be, in terms of our evaluation criteria, so a decision was made that they are worth funding. So 11 of those projects, and the majority of them were in the ICT, so 75% in the area of ICT and 25% in manufacturing technology. The focus here was that we wanted to invite proposal in the area of ICT and in the area of manufacturing technology. And the results in terms of those proposal is what you just saw in the video. So some of our young people who are being supported by the Commission and are also going to showcase their product on Wednesday as part of this summit. All right, another call that I've mentioned is the one that closed in March this year, and we have already finalized the evaluation. There were about 60 applications that were received. So it means that I think, especially the young people are becoming more interested, and they are finding that this is an opportunity for them really to realize their ideas, not only through funding, but also through the mentoring program that we're offering. We had, they varied in different areas. They come from different areas. So ICT, again, here represent 25%. Altogether, about 12 projects were chosen for funding, and the funding cycle runs for 2 years. Each project around 500,000 Namibian dollars, altogether about 6 billion, being earmarked to support the innovators. Okay, we have also another supporting platform for innovation, which is based on the concept that has been proven and worked very well in Finland. It's called Demola, and this one brings together industry. So what happens is that industry bring to us their real challenges, and I'm going just to show you which industries we are working with at the moment. So we package those in a specific format so that they can be understood, especially by the students who are going to work on them. And we use specific tools developed under the Demola concept. And with that process, we'll then be able to find a solution to the challenge that that particular industry has given us. We are going to have a presentation, I think, this afternoon on Demola. So I'd like to invite you also to join us in that discussion. So industries, if you have very specific challenges that you have, operation or whatever the case might be, so bring them to us. We can work with the students. And in the process, we have an opportunity to give the student a platform to work on real life challenges and thereby gaining industry experience that they need by the time they graduate. So currently we have challenges that we received from 3 companies, and that was through an engagement that we've had, telecom, and those were the challenges that they have. You can go to our website, you can find out the details, that specific website that is there. You can find out more about what each of the challenges is all about, but here is just a summary. Telecom has given us 3 of them. FNB gave us 2, and Namibian Standard Institution gave us 1. And the first 5 are more or less IT related. And what we try to do is we form teams of students from different backgrounds, those from business background, ICT, and so forth. And they work together for 3 months to find solutions to those specific challenges. They are now going to present their work to the sponsors, to the CEOs of those companies in the course of this month, just before they start with their examinations. So that is, in a nutshell, the work that we do in supporting innovation in the ICT sector. And I think I'd just like to stress here that I think for innovation really to flourish in Namibia, we need to make sure that we adhere to the principles that I've just indicated here on the slide. That means that we need to work together. It requires a network of all players from industry, from academia, and from the public sector in order for us to really find solutions to the challenges that we face. The one other thing that is very important is patience. I think there is something that people confuse between R&D and innovation and the construction project, for example. And you always get asked, and I'm sure many of you would agree with me, that what have you produced? While you've just been working on that idea for even less than 3 months, certainly you can't expect miracle, because the fruit of innovation and R&D really takes time to ripen. And the other principle that I want to leave with you is the issue of we need to learn to sacrifice. We have a lot of challenges. We have the drought, we have whatever the case might be, but we cannot continuously just look at that as the only challenge. We need also to develop the capacity for us to be able to meet those challenges in the future. That means we need to put a little bit of some money aside to support R&D and to support innovation. And we cannot expect now to improve our ranking in terms of innovation if we are not putting sufficient amount of money in that as well in the process, just like the pictures that I've showed earlier. So with that, thank you very much for listening to my presentation. Thank you.
Another round of applause, please, for Dr. Aino Natangwe Mvula. If you do have any questions, please, the floor is once again open to you. Something very interesting, I really get excited to see young Namibians who are coming up with innovative apps for us as Namibians, so we don't have to download apps from all over the world, but actually our things that understand us, things that we can resonate ourselves with. So I think we should also give a round of applause to our youth who participate in these innovations. So please, once again, if you do have any questions, then this is the time to ask. Of course, of course.
Thank you very much. My question is basically, you said we must be patient. Must be patient. The fruits of innovation takes time to come to fruition, and we sometimes don't have the patience. Is there a way that what I'm after is that you link up with newspapers and media outlets to give a weekly or a monthly or a twice a month an update on whatever you are doing in a page, or to find out, to write up about the ideas of the young people. How far are they? Because what I'm after is, I currently have a mobile application, or you mentioned one, Save My City. It's on my phone, but it's not progressing well. Every time I speak to the developer, there is still something in the future. And my latest conclusion is that the entrepreneur is in a hurry, but the environment takes time. There must be some submissions and so on, but he's not in control of that process. Is there a way that one can assist with the processes of giving feedback up and down, so that the people know what the developers are doing or the innovators are doing? If you understand my question.
Yes, thank you, Honorable. I think that is a very good proposal in terms of us intensifying our engagement with the stakeholders. I suppose that's what you're referring to. We have a monthly newsletter, although at this point in time, we're trying to cut costs, so we are distributing it via email. It is on our, do you receive it? I hope you receive it. Okay. All right. So the moment we distribute it through the stakeholders that are in our emailing list. So I think it's a good proposal that we'll take it up and see if we can have some publication similar to what you see, for example, for NAST and for UNAM. But that could be also costly. I mean, something one have to consider. Yeah, but the IT guru is suggesting that we do that with a smartphone. So maybe we can work on some kind of apps. Yeah, some kind of apps that people can upload. Yeah, good. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions from the floor?
Thank you so much for the opportunity given. My question is going to the speaker himself. If I listen correctly, you say when the application comes in, I heard there were 70% of applications that were successful, and which tells us that some applications were not successful. But then it leaves me with worried in my mind that what happened to those who did not success, who did not get a chance. Because I remember well, if I look back when we were at higher institution, UNAM, Polytech, and others, there are colleagues of us who were studying together who drop out at different level and different knowledge. And yeah, but let me just have an answer maybe before I go far. What happened to those who did not successful? Do you fit them somewhere, or do you leave them to go back in the street and something like that?
The application is a competitive process. What we do, once we have received the review report from the people that have reviewed the proposal, so we give that feedback to the applicant. So we give them at least with something that they could improve on going forward. So that's what we are doing at the moment. But we are also thinking as to what other instruments we can bring on board. But of course, if we have the resources, we probably might have an opportunity to take them again also through a specialized mentorship program to help them also improve their writing skills so that they are able to write fundable proposals. But in addition to that, we also do conduct a series of proposal writing workshops. We've had one, I think that was in July, and that is, again, is another opportunity for innovators and researchers to gain some experience and knowledge in terms of how to write a proposal that can convince the decision maker that you really get a case that is worth being supported. I hope I've answered you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Any more? There.
Thank you very much. I'd like to know, just looking at the presentation, I see that it's mostly centered around institutions, educational backgrounds, tertiary, polytechnics, and the like. What of those skilled metal workers out there in the compounds, those who haven't had a chance or a privilege to step into a university or college for a higher education? Because my outlook on innovation and technology, I think there are people who have the brains out there. I don't think it's really about a person who can scientifically interpret something. What of those people with those ideas? If we had to say, okay, let's look at the taxi drivers right now. All of them, you do a census, you can derive something from them, which will blow your minds. Everyone. I really think there's more sources of innovation. Like he said, the Microsoft gentleman, he said something like, what have you imagined? Like, many people imagine many things, really. But I think it's so limited. And I think the NCRST should be the busiest office in the country. If it's the busiest office in the country, then we'll see development to a state whereby people will be like, wow, this is Namibia. I think that's my very short question. Could you answer that, please? Thanks. What of those people who've not had a chance to have a higher education, but have brilliant ideas? What's in it for them? Thanks.
Yeah. No, thank you very much. You are correct, certainly. I mean, we can't limit the support only to those that have seen the doors of the university and those who knows how to write proposals. And that is really the challenge that also our line minister has given to us, and is a challenge that we are working on to see as to how do we go and support those innovators out there in the rural areas particularly. And I can promise you that is a project that we are taking on come next financial year and given the resources. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just catching up with the organizers. We are reaching our afternoon session, so we must make sure everything is in order. But let's continue nonetheless.
No, those are the things that you need to do. But you need to start somewhere.
Doctor? Yeah, I just want to find out on the funding, those who have been funded, what does the organization do to trace after funding their whereabouts and in what programs and activities they are involved in? And after that, what is the way forward? How does the organization come back? If so, and what support is being rendered after that? Secondly, I've seen on the pie chart there is a very low percentage, shall I say, approved for manufacturing. What could be the reason for that? Or is it a set quota that percentage that we have been shown, is that a set quota, or is it the applications that came in and it looks very low? What could be the reason? If you most probably find out about that. And the regional statistics on the funding, how is it? You know, sometimes you see at NSFAF, if students apply, some of the regions have a very low, should I say, interest or, yeah. Can you explain that? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. So what happens after when we support them? So we work with these innovators all the way until the project has closed. So right now, the ones that I've showed, they have not finalized their project in total. The project we funded from January this year, and they are expected to be completed by December next year. It's a 2-year. So, but if you finish earlier, of course, then it's a different story. But we are working with them all throughout. We have a monitoring and evaluation mechanism in place. We don't give them money and they disappear. We pay whatever needs to be paid for the implementation of the project. And then the one important thing that we hopefully would want to see going forward is them upscaling those ideas once they become bankable. And for that, we have entered into an MOU with SME Bank. I don't know if they are here. So they are our partners. So we are saying that once these guys are ready and they have a proposal, a bankable idea now, are you ready to take them on board? And they've said yes, they are ready to take them because they've got maybe deeper pockets than ourselves. Yes. Yeah. The other question is the manufacturing. Yeah, the manufacturing. That specific was a call targeting manufacturing in ICT. Yeah, and it was really mainly because of the applications that we received. And I must say that I think it's a question of us again trying to sensitize, and we've started now doing that. My team was in the south 2 weeks ago. Through the regional governors' offices in Karas and in Hardap, and they'll be also going to the Kavango and the 2 Kavangos in the course of this month, and the Zambezi region, just to sensitize and get more young people interested to submit their application. The regional representation is very, very low. Most people that apply are mainly in commerce, and that is from the application. It's not even on the. We're not saying that which one have gone through. Just the applications that we receive are mainly commerce-based, and of course, with that, you can't expect much in terms of the output. So, but I think it's something that we need to do. We need to work more in sensitizing others so that they can get involved, just even to apply, you know.
Okay, we've got one more question for you from the back there. Just want to remind our delegates that we're really pressed for time. So we'll take one last question and then we'll move on to our next speaker.
Good afternoon. I have two questions actually, one for Dr.
Mvula and one for Mr. Go Green. Dr. Mvula, I just wanted to find out regarding your research and development project, what is your plan for the rural communities and the out of school youth? Yeah, because like the gentleman said before, there is so much potential out there other than what is in institutions of higher learning. And the gentleman from Microsoft just wanted to find out, where do you lie until what point do you end when it comes to digital education? Because as platform providers, I would believe that you should go beyond profit making and selling your product to people that are only interested in using your services, but go out there and educate the public, the youth, rural communities once again, and out of school youth, just to find out if they've got any ideas that they would like to put on your platform and make your product more visible. Thank you.
So my answer remains the same. It's a project that we're really working towards for implementation coming the next financial year to support those that probably do not have or have had not an opportunity to go or to go to university, or not only university, but anybody that has an idea but may not be in a position to put it on paper to convince those who are going to make a decision. So as I said, that is a project that we're going to work towards. And unfortunately, there are not so many examples that have been, that one can rely on. So, but we doing some research around that and see what specific interventions that we're going to do, because you don't want just to go and start and reinvent the wheel. If there is success stories elsewhere, we would then certainly ride on those as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, one last answer. I guess, okay.
Mr. Go Green. Wow, that's a nice name. I think that is a complex question to answer because it's twofold. One is, as a company, we cannot really invest nation by nation and push. However, what we can do is establish systems that allow for that. For example, and I'll give a very blatant example, Office 365 for education is free. The software itself is free. It's out there. You can go as a student, download it. You can go as a school and use it. As for the training aspect, this is very contextual because every country is different. And so you'll find what works in Europe will not work here, what works here will not work in Kenya, what works in Kenya will not work in South Africa, and so on and so forth. And this is where our partner ecosystem comes in. And through the partners, they can educate and train and provide that. However, there's also a flip side to it, which is sustainable systems. And so when we do invest in companies that are out there and providing outreach, it's more of we provide an enabling environment. And I'll give an example of Mawingu. I don't know how many people have heard of the Mawingu project. Yep, one person over there has. The Mawingu project started off as an accessible, what would call accessible, affordable access, whereby since our TV, TV bandwidth is usually, in Kenya, it's actually very widespread and a lot of people can access it. And so they asked themselves, how can we use this unused bandwidth to actually provide data on the same wave bands? And so the project was actually looking at providing internet access to rural areas through existing technology. And to Microsoft, that's a very powerful idea. And so Microsoft came in, again through the For Africa program, provided some access to some of our very technical people, very good technology guys, and they actually said running out the project. Right now, Mawingu is providing internet access to schools in very rural areas. They're providing access to internet in general, and they have tangible results in terms of how the students are performing and so on and so forth. So I cannot say, and I cannot actually speak for the company and say, this is what we will do, A, B, C, D. However, I can tell you that already as we speak right now, there are already programs and projects out there that, one, enable free access for education. In fact, I'll just mention it right now. Education products for education are generally cheaper. If you're buying as an educational institution, you'll find they're cheap or they're free. Office 365, free for education. I'd actually say, if you know a student right now, tell them to go and try it. Tell them to go work with it, download, use the emails, it's all there. But also on the flip side is we cannot come in and train everyone individually. And this is where our partners come in. They know the country, they know the context, they understand how you work, and they also understand the government. Something which, I'll be very honest, as Microsoft, we may not completely do very well as a company. And so this is where we rely on the partners. And actually, a very good point to add into the discussion we've had with the young innovators, whereby they can actually build and even become Microsoft partners themselves, and actually work with us and grow and develop the country. So I actually think that's a very good idea and a very good question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muthoga, as well as Dr. Bula. Of course, if you do have any more questions, right next door is the exhibitors hall, and you can find perhaps all your questions could be answered there. But we need to continue to our final speaker for this afternoon. Right after this, we will be breaking away into the different groups. Let me introduce to you, it's also one of the changes in the program for this afternoon. It is Professor Pio Lumaga, who is the director for the Innovation Design Lab from the University of Science and Technology. And the topic that he will be discussing or presenting on is designing the intelligence of Namibia's solar taxi. Take a listen to this. Please welcome Professor Lumaga. Thank you.
Thank you for having me here. Unfortunately, I am here because I'm substituting a colleague of mine, Prof. Dodlo, which had a horrible casualty in her family. So I am a late replacement, and I would say my prayer goes to her in this horrible moment. Today we heard from Dr. Mbola and also our colleague from Microsoft about a question that you raised about patience and impatience. And so today I will do a short talk about how we conjugate, how we join patience and impatience, and how we create creative environments that sustain innovations. This is a strategic problem that we have to solve with our child when they are very young, until ourselves when we get very old. So how we keep creating innovation, and my suggestion is that innovation is created in creative environment that are able to join patience and impatience at the same time. And before I start, I will actually show a quick movie.
The Namibian Solar Electric Utility Vehicle is a multidisciplinary applied research project by the Innovation Design Lab at NUST.
The existing transportation systems adds a heavy burden to the environment with carbon dioxide as well as poisonous gases and pollution.
In the last decade, Africa has shown a dramatic increase in urbanization. About 1.2 billion people, which is 60% of Africa's population, will be urbanized by 2050. Our major challenge is the public transport system. About 50% of public transport today happens through the smaller vehicles, which are the taxis.
This is a solar taxi based on African needs, is designed and prototyped in Namibia.
We have designed and built a lightweight vehicle. This vehicle operates with zero carbon footprint, and it captures solar energy with photovoltaic cells and stores it in lithium-ion batteries that are swapped at the nodes of smart grid of rechargeable stations.
This is actually our first brief of the project, a solar utility vehicle or a solar taxi. It weighs about 200 kilos and which can take about 300 kilograms of payload, which is about 4 people comfortably. Energy storage, which is lithium-ion batteries, and the maximum velocity is about 50 kilometers per hour, and a full range to 100 kilometers. It's made in Namibia, and the idea is to have it at a cost of about 50,000 Namibian dollars, which is actually translating to 3,000 euros.
The solar taxi research team is divided into 5 groups. Number 1, mechanical. Number 2, solar panel and lithium-ion batteries. Number 3, software and interfaces. Number 4, electrical and electronics. And lastly, composites.
We are ahead of our schedule. We finished our prototype 1 month and a half before our target. In the next 30 months, we are going to build 5 working prototypes based on all the lessons learned from the forward ones, adding more layers of intelligence, aiming to a lighter, user-friendly, more efficient, sustainable solar taxi that operates with zero carbon footprint. We need your help with tools, components, or funding, and of course with knowledge. Thank you so much. Well, every project of innovation starts with a couple of things. One is with a sense of dissatisfaction. We are not satisfied with the status quo. We want to change it. And the other one is, well, how we can do that, you know. And it's, if you want, it's a dream that has to come true. And when I talk with my colleagues and say, actually in Sweden or in America or here in Namibia, they say, oh, this is a project impossible. And I said, well, impossible is not in my vocabulary. Maybe difficult, but not impossible. So what we did, we gathered 20 students from all walks of life, from industrial psychology to vocational training, from electronics to computer, to mechanics, to administration. They have never designed a car. Actually, they have never built a car. I have designed cars for Fiat or for BMW, but I assure you that designing is really, really easy. What is difficult is building. So we put them together, and after less than 6 months, we had a prototype. And this prototype that you see here, I call the solar Frankenstein, because we did not really have money to buy components. So we went to a spare parts center, and we hacked the spare parts. And at the end, this owner, which is a very nice person, said, well, you have to pay me. I said, I'm sorry, we don't have money, but you would be willing to finance a project for our students? He said, yes. So he gave us even a truck, and we brought everything in our small laboratory. So I will somehow try to make you feel a few components that are very important if we want to do innovation. And I've been involved with innovation in the last 40 years by designing, I've designed computers, I've designed cars, I've designed lighting, shoes, and every time that we designed something, we had something that was, if you want, a slightly critic to what was existing. We want to do much better. And so, as you see here, this first one is a mitigation project to the effect of climate changes. As you have heard in the movie, by 2050, 60% of the African population, 1.2 billion people, will be concentrated in the megacities. That put an enormous burden on our environment with enormous release of carbon dioxide and other pollutions. So we line, foster new generation of research. So you might say that this project in reality is a Trojan horse. We are tricking our students to do a new solar car that has never been designed, but in reality, we are fostering their capacity to do something that has never done before. We are fostering a new generation of African researchers. Last but not least, and it was addressed by Dr. Muvala, is we are in Namibia very low in producing patent. You know how many patents we produce in 1 year? 0.25% for 1 million. That means that for 2 million people, it takes 2 years and a half to produce 1 patent. And mostly of these patents are given outside when we do PhD. So the idea is that we will try to do our own production of patent. Will be successful? I don't know, but we are trying there. So this is already you have heard, but there is another addition. 50% of today public transportation in Africa happens with small taxi. So it's a real problem there. What is the idea? The idea is solar taxi based on African user needs, rapidly prototype. So what we do, the Innovation Design Lab, is one thing. You can have whatever idea, we have to prototype that, whether it is software, whether it is mechatronics, whether it is a mechanical joint. So we challenge our students to prototype whatever they think. By doing that, they learn to connect hands to brain in a new original way. The solar caption is done with photovoltaic panels, which are common, and we store the energy in lithium-ion battery, which are swapped in a grid of rechargeable stations. One would say, how many of you have an internal combustion engine, the one that goes with gasoline? Can you show me your hand? None. Very good. I don't believe that. In reality, the car that we drive, it's a very inefficient car, because when you step with your feet on the accelerator, more gas goes into the carburetor, valves to go faster, and then is a lot of gears and pulley and pump that finally translate that energy into usable power. Do you know how many, if you put 100 grams of gasoline in your engine, how much you can use it in usable power? Any idea? I can tell you, 16 grams. So the efficiency of the best car that you have, let's say a Mercedes, a brand new Mercedes or BMW, is that you use only 16% of the energy. You throw away 84%. While in a car, in an electric car, that's why it's so simple. The future is exactly that every kilowatt we use 80% of that. So a car that is electric can use 400, it's 400% more efficient than our traditional internal combustion engine. This was our deliverable. And every 2 months, every year, we produce 2 prototypes. We have started with that one, what we call the solar taxi. Now we are already started with number 2. And it will not look anymore like our solar Frankenstein, but it will look more like a car. And what we are adding is something in which is responsible. Here we have Dr. Anisha Peters and Norbert Jere of our Faculty of Computing and Informatics. We have adding something that we did not have in the first prototype, car intelligence. And I will go more on that. What you see in the last line is that in 2018, we will do the last 2 prototypes, which are pre-production prototype. The idea is, can we do a car that can be produced and fabricated here in Namibia by Namibians? So we will test that in 2018. What was the brief? The brief actually had me many times not sleeping in the night, because I wanted to have a brief that I call it moving target brief. because when you do innovation, you have a sense of direction, but you don't know exactly where you go. So you have to keep the brief open enough so that the students and ourselves can change it while we learn. So it's a lightweight vehicle. All the vehicles that we are driving are heavy and are stupid for that, because a car that weighs 1,500 kilos usually transport only me, 80 kilos. It's not that stupid. I think so. And then, so it's a car that has a dead weight of 250 kilo. Is that difficult? Yes. The solar Frankenstein that I showed you before is 450 kilos. Why? Because we use the iron, scrap iron, to build the car. The idea is that the prototype number 2, which I will show you the design, will be 350 kilo. And every time we build a new prototype, we are going to shave off 50 kilos. So we will have a payload that is bigger than its own weight. So we are able to, this is the design, we are not yet there, to carry 300, 320, 350 kilos of payload. We will have a regenerative braking so that when we brake, part of the energy charges the battery. What is the maximum velocity? 50 kilometers an hour. Because you know what is the velocity of a taxi in a metropolitan area? Anybody has an idea? We made a research, 16 kilometers an hour. So by having 50 kilometers an hour, we are more than enough. And with one charge of the battery, we can go 100 kilometers. So it's a pretty good metropolitan taxi. But the last is made in Namibia or made in Africa, but we are aiming to have a cost to end users of 50,000 Namibian dollars. Is that ambitious? Yes, very ambitious. We have no idea how we are going to get there, but we are working on it. This is, sorry, I need a little bit of water. This is one of the most interesting map of Namibia. Is why Namibia, as solar, as should be the main source of income and production of energy. This was a map that was designed by the University of Cologne, which show that average radiance of solar in Namibia is 5.8 kilowatt for square meter for day, for hours. That means that Namibia has the double of the solar radiance of Germany, who has the highest per capita panel in the world. You know what is 3. So with the same, if you want, mediocre, stupid photovoltaic panel that I used in Germany, we can have 100% better efficiency. And in half of the territory, the central territory, we have 6.2 to 6.8, so enormous amount of solar energy. This was how we started. We divided in 5 teams: solar, electric, car intelligence, mechanical, and composite. Were we successful in our first prototype? Not really, because we didn't really give enough importance to car intelligence. So that's why I asked help to my colleagues of the Faculty of Computing and Informatics. And I will show you, actually here, this is the new organigram that we are using in the new. It's 3 big areas in the new prototype. It's body, it's electric and electronics, and car intelligence. Let me go back for one moment to this diagram. This diagram we monitor in this part. We monitor something. How has changed the cost of storing 1 kilowatt of energy? Up there, you can see that in 2005, the cost of 1 kilowatt was $1,800. Now we are here. The cost of 1 kilowatt is $200. We, with other scientists, think that when the cost of 1 kilowatt in lithium-ion battery costs $150, this is a game changer. And as you see, you can see all around the world, Tesla, BMW, Google, Apple, they are trying to develop solar car because there we are in what we call an inflection point. There the game is changing and very quickly. What we have done, I said multidisciplinary research. What we do at the Innovation Design Lab is very simple. For us, there are no boundary between different areas of knowledge. We have to solve the problem. We take all the knowledge that we can, and if we don't know, we hack that knowledge, we put it together until we have a solution. And so it's about, in our laboratory, we are mixing, for example, technology from the aerospace industry, doing composite materials, technology from software, technology from mechatronics, technology from mechanics. And our students are encouraged to do one thing, to say, I don't know. Fantastic. When I don't know, now we have propeller to know more. And I'm learning as with them. So we are in this process. So we do one thing, do error, but do fast errors. So if I monitor the, let's say, this is money, this is money and this is time, the cost of a project goes from the start. Let's do, sorry, like this, so it's more simple for you. So this is money and this is time. The cost of the project goes very quickly like this. It's an exponential curve. So what we do, that we make errors at the beginning of the project when the cost is not so much. So this is one thing. And the other thing is that the students are encouraged, the students are encouraged to make mistakes. The only things that we constantly ask them is, what did you learn? What did you learn? And we monitor this process, that everything is learned becomes the step for the next one, the next team. So this was the team. Now, as you see now, this car looks more like a car. Still is a little bit Mickey Mouse, because here we did not have really a proper software, but now we are using SolidWorks. As you see in the middle, there is an aluminum frame. So this aluminum frame is going to be tested with the finite element analysis, and we're going to test under static and dynamic loading. So, and think about that, the old frame, and actually I asked the student to bring the car. So afterwards, the car is outside, and you will see why I call it Solar Frankenstein. But this one, it will be a beauty because the frame will be aluminum. Our frame that now weighs 220 kilos, this frame will weigh 70 kilos and will be much stronger. The other thing is that we are going to have, instead of AC motors that weighs 80 kilos, as you see in the back wheels, there is a red hub. We are having two electric engines directly to the wheel so that we even reduce transmission and weight. Then we are going to use the composite, and the composite will be a layer of, we are studying what are the materials, probably fiberglass with some hardener. So we will have an outside shell that is also lightweight. Now I wanted to devote something that I think is very much into the heart of my colleague here, the car intelligence. The car intelligence is built around three words: sensing, controlling, communicating. So the car, first of all, is going to sense where you are on the lane. It will keep you in the center of the lane, or it will tell you, oi, you are going outside of the lane. The other one is each car will have a bubble, and within its own bubble, will be able to sense the distance and the whereabouts of other bubbles, other cars, or obstacles. Here in Namibia, we have one horrible record. We have the highest rate of mortal accident in the world. So this one will aim to make driving for the passenger, for the driver, and for the people in the road much more safer. In the case there will be a possible collision, even if we are absent-minded or we are looking at our beautiful wife, then the car will, brake for us. I will not go into the details of this, but essentially it's a sensing system that very similar to the sonar that you had in the submarine during World War II. We send, the only difference, we send high intensity waves, and then when the waves will come back, we interpret the waves and will tell us the nature of the obstacle. Or it's a car, it's a tree, or it's another, or it's something else. Okay, as you see here, we have, we will do also a system of smart sensor that can provide us feedback on if there is alcohol in the breath of the driver, if there are electromagnetic sensor, wireless ultrasonic sensor, parking sensor, essentially to do a few series of things. Blind spot detections. A lot of accident happens because we don't know what is happening in the blind spot. The other one is lane change assistance or lane change keeping, and of course parking assistance, collision assistance. Why we are, one would say, why you want to make so complicated the car? Well, first of all, because we want to have a car as intelligent as possible. Why? Because a lot of research now is going to the driverless car. A car that is so intelligent that we will not even have a wheel or a brake. We will be passengers. Why is it interesting? Because this pushes the frontier of what we can know, what we can apply. So it's an interesting challenge for us professors, for the lecturer, but most of all for our student. I already talked about that, lane pedestrian detection. I will skip on that. I will skip about what kind of tools, software tools and hardware tools we are. Here is interesting. We will be able to communicate vehicle to vehicles. And one question that I pose to my students is, wait a minute, but vehicle-vehicle communication doesn't exist in Namibia. And when we will have 100 taxis, only 100 taxis will be able to communicate with each other. Well, there are two questions. One is data acquisition. We are going to have a fantastic continuous stream of data that will help us to, if you want, to improve the next generation of car. And the other one is that by doing that, we are enhancing the fact that the new generation of vehicle-to-vehicle can become a reality. And even if we don't have enough vehicles, we can if you want to store our data on the cloud, so that this can be also usable for future improvement. I will stop on that. Well, this is why it's so important, because we are human and we do error. There is circumstantial errors in which we don't really realize what is the situation. And there is negligence, there is accident. So we think with this one, we can really improve the quality of the car and the quality mostly of the human beings in the car. I would say, well, this is a scheme of how it works. What could be the problem? The problem would be that at the beginning we would not have enough vehicle-to-vehicle working, but most of all would be willing of the people to change their cultural relationship with the car. This is, I think, our colleague said, if I quote you, is we carry in our pocket a technology that can change the world. And I can use that as slightly modified. Well, if we use the technology in an appropriate way to our culture. So when a lot of my colleagues, and I am an engineer, when a lot of my colleagues say the problem is technological, I disagree with that. The problem is cultural. Technology is just a service of a dominant culture. So our challenge here is how we can change the behavior of, for example, of taxi driver, of the behavior of the users of the car. So we are going to develop, for example, Uber-like applications, because when we made an interview with the taxi driver, you say, how much do you drive every day? They said 300, 400, 500 kilometers a day. I say to the student, you must be wrong. Let's go again and let's talk with more taxi. And actually the number was right. Then we investigate, but why you drive so much? Doesn't make any sense for all the money that you earn. Well, because we are looking for customer. 30% of that driving is pointless. They are looking for customers. If we would have an Uber application, there would be a matchmaking. You want to go to the center of Nairobi, and I am you don't even to think about the car, you know. And the other one is that this kind of car are bringing, in essence, a new model of car, which is not ownership, but sharing. So this is another point that would be very interesting. I actually, you know what, I think I want to stop here, because I think it would be more interesting to have a few questions that you listen to my English with an Italian accent more. Actually, I have a question, but I will give your question afterwards to the audience.
Anybody with any questions?
No question. Yes. You can always count on Microsoft curiosity.
Actually, this is not even Microsoft curiosity, it's just my own personal assessment, and I love that project. And I would ask that once they are ready, please do make a huge announcement of it, because I want to be amongst the first people to buy that car.
Very good, thank you. We actually, thank you. We actually will start a Kickstarter campaign, and if somebody gives the right amount of dollars, they will get this car free of here in Namibia. Of course, they have to transport wherever they are, but the car will be here.
Any more questions from the floor?
I just need some clarity on the, you said it will be 100% Namibian. Will there be anything like importation of maybe systems, parts of some kind? Or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Why I say we would be 100% Namibian, if we develop in cooperation with other African countries, will be 100% Namibia and Africa, is because this project was started here, and I have developed project with high technology and interface in Africa, in America, in Europe. So I have a little bit of experience of this. And one of the things that today in modern design we do is that you don't give me an assignment, I put myself in the ivory tower, and then I come with a brilliant solution. So now the new way in which we are designing is called user-centric design. So we start from your need, and actually we will try also to bring the users inside our project. So in reality, we don't design, we co-design with you. So this is an important part. And so since we are designing a car for African need, of course, it's essential that we use, African users, African developer, African mind. Technology. Technology is today is a very interesting thing. Technology is happening everywhere. So in some ways, it's much better that we don't reinvent the wheel. For example, we are buying the hub and we are buying the tire. We cannot think that we have a tire factory here. It just doesn't make any sense. But so we are importing pieces of technology that are off of the shelf, and then we are going to improve of that. I was at MIT with one of the inventors of artificial intelligence, Marvin Minsky. He was the one that first developed a robotic arm, I think it was 1958. And I was in one of his classes. And at the end, I said, Marvin, what do you think that is the best way to create new knowledge? And he said, Pio, the best way is that you recombine in a creative way existing technology. That's what we are doing here in the solar car. We are not reinventing anything, but we are combining in a way that has never done before. Why? Because we are not a car industry, so we don't have to defend. If you see, for example, Chrysler, BMW, their electric car, Toyota, it's a stupid car. I say with a little bit of smudge. I should not say that. I love cars. Why is stupid? Because they take the old heavy car and put now an electrical engine. Now we should be able to design a car from scratch, lightweight, intelligent. Today, still we think that the car is protection. We put an armor of 5 millimeter around that. No, we can put 3 millimeter, 1.5, but we can have active safety. Airbag doesn't weigh very much. An airbag is 1.8 kilos. You don't need 200 kilos of steel around you to protect you.
Thanks a lot.
I had a question, Professor. Would this be the first of its kind from Africa or in the world, and are there other success stories?
Absolutely. It would be also a little bit, if you want, off timing if we start something from scratch, because it will take time. So what we are doing, we are learning from a series of other cars. To my knowledge, and my knowledge is limited, of course, not one single solar electric taxi has been yet developed in in Africa with this technology, less in Namibia. So this is the first of its kind. We are having a lot of our yes. So actually, thank you, Anisha. This is a very important thing. We are designing this car in modular way. Why is it so important? Because modular means that a Lego blocks can be expanded. So the engine, the storage, the way in which we design the car is modular. Why is that? Because we are already thinking, what about, we have a lot of farmers say, we would like to have our solar donkey there, no? And this is a good idea. So instead of having a car with 4 passengers, you have a driver with a lot of storage space. So we can go up, and then we can do the solar bus, the solar van, the solar train, or we can go down and we can do the solar tricycle, the solar motorcycle, the solar bicycle. So we are already thinking that if we are successful, we can create a modular project that can expand. The other way is how we can do it in Namibia. Well, when I visit Volkswagen or when I or Fiat in Italy or in Torino or BMW, I see a lot of robots. Robots that are displacing human hands. So here we have a lot of people without work. So why we don't create a car that is so easy to assemble, and the electric car is easy to assemble because there's less part that can be used and built here. So what I did is today, when I spoke with our Minister of Higher Education, he said, my key problem is vocational training. So I said, okay. I went to WVTC and said, can you give me your best 5 students? And I want to put in our team. So what happened, that my students know very well how to do an equations, how much torque we need to go 15% with 250 kilos. But then nobody was able to weld the vehicle. So I had this wonderful young lady who was a welder, and there are all these men that did not weld, and they started competition there. So I had students that were learning from Windhoek Vocational Training Center. And the students were learning things that they would never done in Windhoek Vocational Training Center. For me, it's mandatory, for example, that they use software, and they use design software, and they prototype. So this is a way of mixing a little bit, you know, the paper in such a way that can be, the output could be original. Yes, Alicia. Yeah.
It was on the question of whether it's the first solar taxi. So Uganda unveiled a solar bus already. And then, of course, we know, like, University of Johannesburg also came with a solar car. But the one that has, like, the 4-seater, that is what makes this one so unique, because most of the other solar cars are either used for racing, and then they have limited seating. So that's sort of the unique angle.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Anisha. This is a very good...
I just wanted to announce that we can only take Alyssa's question now, finally, because we're going to into the breakaway groups. So after Professor answers, then we can wrap it up for the session.
Thank you, Chair. It's a very quick one. Professor, I know the manufacturers in Namibia are currently grappling with quality assurance, and they have to send these samples to South Africa. How are you going to circumvent that? Are you consolidating a team of quality assurance to come and check here, or are you sending a sample overseas? Thank you.
First of all, the production of this car is still an industrial dream. We don't know yet who are the investors and what are, you know, the investment that is needed to provide a production of a small factory that can produce 2, 3 of these vehicles every day. So that has to be still done. Quality assurance is very important in a car because it requires safety tests, crash tests that must be immediately at a high level. And a car that is potentially dangerous, it's even more important. So this is an issue that we have to tackle. We have not yet tackled because we are still in the experimental stage.
Professor, thank you very much. A round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. Professor Pugh Lumaga, who is the director at the University of NUST, Namibia University of Science and Technology, scientist. You can just see this man is a scientist. Okay, now because we don't have much time, it's time for us to head on into our breakaway sessions, and I'd just like to break it down to you. I'm not sure if you are aware of where you should be going, but if you do have any questions, please do make sure to ask by the office, which is just straight down, and you'll see the door straight towards you. The breakaway with the NCRST with Lovisa Kambonde, the topic is Demola, Namibia, is in the Oryx Room 7. In Oryx Room 5, it's with AVM, with the topic is Complete Home Networking. And those who are discussing the topic of Lenovo in the data center with Edward Odd can stay right here. So if you do know about your way, if not, please come to me, I'll go find out for you. But I hope that this session will be informative just as the rest has been for today. We will then go for a short break, but we will resume here at 5 p.m. to wrap up for today's session. Thank you very much.